welcome to 101 Vodcast Science Talk. Today, we will tackle about the issues and application of science and technology in the modern age. It's defining our modern age and how it made our world. So sit back, listen, and enjoy learning. And let us begin by knowing what is biodiversity in healthy society. Biodiversity means is the variety of life in the simple term. It is the construction of two words biological diversity, which refers and variability of living organism. Biodiversity is essential for the human survival, and it presents all living things like animals, plants, and other microorganisms. Okay, what does bias means? It's come from the Greek word study of life. And what does diversity means? It comes from the Latin word which means the variety, or diversity means differences of variation. That's the meaning diversity. And let us know the importance of biodiversity. Affect humans or various aspects, economy, health and culture, aesthetic, and environmental issues. And this is the very important of biodiversity. That's our source of food, clothing, shelter, and medicine, and also source of raw materials for industrial activities, different product and goods, clean air and water, soil, and water resources. And they have eight threats of biodiversity: habitat loss and destruction, overexploitation, overhunting, overfishing, pollution and contamination, global climate change. And when we talk biodiversity and how we account for these species that are living on Earth, sciences use these three measure diversity. So we can have ecological diversity, species diversity, and genetic diversity. How do we differentiate these three measure of biodiversity? So you can just try to remember that when we speak of ecological biodiversity, the key word is habitat base for a healthy society. A healthy society needs a healthy biodiversity. People will always depend on biodiversity for the wellness of their being and everyday lives. Biodiversity and the ecosystem process have been neglected because their benefits, through apparent, were not appreciated. We need to respond to the threats against biodiversity. Failure to take care of the ecosystem is putting lives at risk. And this is the last part of biodiversity and healthy society. And the next reporters is Mr. Madibo.
Hi, my name is Nate and we're here to talk about genetically modified organism. Genetically modified organism, or GMO, is an organism whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering techniques. Organisms that has been genetically modified includes microorganisms such as bacteria, yeast, plants, fish, and mammals. Source of genetically modified foods, and are also widely used in scientific research and to produce useful goods other than food. Genetic modification involves the insertion or deletion of genes. When genes are inserted, they usually came from different species, which is form of horizontal gene and transfer. In nature, this can occur when an exogenous DNA penetrates the cell membrane for any reason. To do this artificially may require attaching the genes to a virus or just physically inserted the extra DNA into the nucleus of the intended host with a very small syringe or very small participles fired from a gene gun. Agrobacterium's ability to transfer generic materials to plants, or the ability of lentiviruses to transfer genes to animal cells are natural example of gene transfer. The basic principles of producing a GMO was to add the new genetic materials into an organism called genome. This is called genetic engineering and was made possibly through the discovery of DNA and the creation of the first recombinant DNA molecules by Paul Birch in 1972. Transgenic plants have been engineered for scientific research to create new colors in flowers and to create improved crops. In research, plants are engineered to help discover the function of a certain genes. One way to do this is to knock out the gene of the interest and see what the phenotype develops. Another strategy is to attach the gene to the another promoter and see what happens when it is overexpressed. Ralph O. Pfister and Richard Palmiter developed the techniques responsible for transgenic mice, rats, rabbits, sheep, and pigs in the early 1980s. They established many of the first transgenic models of human disease, including the first carcinoma caused by transgene. The process of genetically engineering animals is a slow, tedious, and expensive process. However, new technologies are making genetic modification easier and more precise. To protect our health, any food produced through genetic engineering should be banned until scientifically shown to be safe and safe for everyone. In the meantime, labeling should require for any food that contains even one genetically engineered ingredients or more than has produced using genetically modified organism or enzymes. Full disclosure labeling will allow consumers to choose what they eat. It will also help scientists trace the source of health problems as well as the benefits of arising from these foods.
NanoWorld, the global market leader for tips for scanning through microscopy and atomic force microscopy. Sphere of influence of nanotechnology. The NanoWorld. History and how was it started? Before the advent of nanotechnology, the word nano used for mathematical term which means as a nanometer is equal to 1 billion part of a meter, only between 1 nm to 100 nm, are in a nanoscale. Nanoscience and nanotechnology study about extremely small molecules, atoms, and study its application in science fields like physics, biology, agriculture, science and material science, and engineering, etc. Microscopy. Very high resolution type of scanning through microscopy with demonstrated resolution on the order of fraction of a nanometer, more than 1,000 times better than the optical diffraction limit. Nanoscience and nanotechnology. Branch of science that studies system and manipulates matter on atomic, molecular, and supramolecular scale, ultra-small scale, the nanometer scale. A nanometer, a unit of spatial measurement, is 10 to 9 meter or 1 billionth of a meter. Commonly used in nanotechnology, the building of extremely small machine. Nanotechnology, technology involving processes, operations, application, and development of devices of such extremely small dimension, is referred to as a nanotechnology by change in different properties of materials such as chemical, mechanical, thermal, electrical, optical, etc. What's going to happen in the future of nanotechnology? And there's an advantage and disadvantage of nanotechnology. The advantage: nanotechnology has the ability to see and control an atom and more molecules. Nanotechnology can be used in the field of medical for operation at microscopic level. Drug delivery machines to a particular organ can be developing. Nanofertilizer, nanoweed, etc. will be used to save as grow crops in agricultural areas. Such a memory can be developed by nanotechnology, which allows more data storage over a much smaller area. Strong fiber can be made with nanotechnology, which can be used in the manufacturing of fabrics and other materials. Nanotechnology is very reliable. Advantages of nanotechnology. Some challenges are also emerging with the use of nanotechnology. Due to the continuous increase in the production and use of metallic nanoparticles, there is increasing concern about the environment and human health. Nanoparticle deposition in food crops or affecting the growth of crops can have a dangerous consequence. Nanoparticles reach the human body easily by water and air, and they harm. Offers the potential for new and faster kinds of computers, more efficient power resources, and life-saving medical treatments. And this is the disadvantages of nanotechnology. Economic disruption, possible threats to security, privacy, health, and the environment. Nanotechnology and environment, benefits and concern. Benefits: improve detection and removal of contaminants, development of beyond industrial processes and materials. Concern: high reactivity and toxicity, pervasive distribution in the environment, no nano-specific EFA regulation. Nanotechnology and health, benefits and concern. Benefits: improve medicine, could save lives by making diagnosis and treatment far more effective. Concern: ability to cross cell membranes and translocate in the body, no FDA approval needed for cosmetics and supplements. Nanotechnology and economy, benefits and concern. Benefits: better products, new jobs. Concern: redistribution of wealth, potential costs of cleanups and healthcare, accessibility to all income levels.
Hello everyone, my name is Raymond Munoz and my topic is gene therapy and climate change and energy crisis. What is gene therapy? Gene therapy is a medical approach that treats or prevents disease by correcting the underlying genetic problem. Gene therapy techniques allow doctors to treat a disorder by altering a person's genetic makeup instead of using drug or surgery. The earliest method of gene therapy, often called gene transfer or gene addition, was developed to introduce a new gene into cell to help fight diseases. How does gene therapy works? Gene therapy works by altering the genetic code to recover the function of critical protein. Proteins are the workhorses of the cell and the structural basis of the body tissue. The instructions for making proteins are carried in a person's genetic code and variant or mutation. In this code can impact the production or function of protein that may be critical to how the body works. Fixing or compensating for disease-causing genetic changes may be recovered. The role of these important proteins and allow the body to function as expected. Gene therapy can compensate for genetic alteration in a couple different ways. Gene therapy introduces a new genetic material into cell if an altered gene causes a necessary protein to be faulty or missing. Gene therapy can introduce a normal copy of gene to recover the function of the protein. Alternatively, the therapy can introduce a different gene that provide instruction for protein that help the cell function normally despite the gene alteration. Is gene therapy safe? The first gene therapy trial was run more than 30 years ago. The earliest study showed that gene therapy could have very serious health risks such as toxicity, inflammation, and cancer. Since then, the researcher have studied the mechanism and developed improved techniques that are less likely to cause dangerous immune reaction or cancer. Because gene therapy techniques are relatively new, some risks may be unpredictable. However, medical researcher, institution, and regulatory agency are working to ensure that gene therapy research, clinical trials, and approve the treatment are as safe as possible. Climate change and energy crisis. What is climate change? Climate change is a change in usual weather found in a place. This could be a change in how much rain in place usually get in a year, or it could be a change in a place usual temperature for a month or season. The planet Earth and our solar system that we live on. However, our planet is not on a good path for continuing to sustain life. The Earth is facing the accelerating effect of climate change, also referred to as a global warming. Well, what exactly is climate change? Climate change is defined as a long-term change in the Earth's overall temperature with a massive and permanent ramification. Climate scientists believe that this is not caused naturally by the Earth but by human activity. Earth's atmosphere consists of gases such as oxygen and nitrogen and other gases known as greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane. Incoming light from the sun hits the Earth's surface. The Earth absorbs some of the energy hitting the surface of the planet. The rest of the energy gets reflected. Some of the energy goes back into the space. The greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide traps the energy and send it back to the Earth's surface, heating it up even more. Greenhouse effect. This is known as the greenhouse effect. Now, a little greenhouse effect is natural to the Earth and it is good thing to have, but a large greenhouse effect can be a catastrophic, causing a lot of the energy to stay in our atmosphere and heat up the Earth at an accelerating rate. Some of the main human activity that affect greenhouse gases are fossil fuel burning, animal agriculture and deforestation, and waste and recycling pollution. Burning fossil fuel like coal, oil, and natural gas as well as gasoline for some of the largest pollutant of carbon emission. Not only that, but when the fossil fuel are burnt and their gas is mixed with the heat, they created smog, a thick air pollutant that is highly toxic. Climate change can directly affect the people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles which increase rapidly at higher temperature. Exposure to higher level of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans are also one who can combat it if we work to replace fossil fuel with renewable energy source like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emission. We might still to prevent some of the worst effect climate change. What is renewable energy? Renewable energy is a generated from source that naturally replenish themselves and never run out. Most common sources are solar, wind, and hydro geothermal, and and biomass. Over 80% of the total energy consumed by human is driven from the fossil fuel. However, renewable energy are the fastest growing sources of the energy in the world. Renewable energy has many benefits. First, it can combat climate change because it creates no direct greenhouse gas emission. That only emission that they produce are indirect, meaning those that result from manufacturing parts, installation, operation, and maintenance. But even those are minimal. Second, renewable energy can decrease pollution and therefore reduce threats to our health. Wind, solar, and hydroelectrical energy system emission are much lower than non-renewable energy source. Renewable energy is a reliable source of power because it is renewable. Energy sources are well renewable. They will never run out once built, and as advance in technology make renewable energy more accessible, affordable, and efficient, in the end to climate change could be within our reach. That's all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Eunice from Group 5 Science Talk, and I'm glad to be here with you today. So without further ado, we can now start our session about environmental issues. Environmental awareness. It is an awareness around the natural environment and the choices that either promote its well-being or cause it more harm. It is also the awareness that the earth is in need of protection for its survival. So basically means that we need to be aware of the natural environment by making choices that benefit the earth rather than hurting it. So here are the several environmental problems that harm our environment. Number 1, pollution. Pollution is the introduction of harmful materials into the environment. These harmful materials are called pollutants. Pollutants can be natural, such as volcanic ash, and they can also be created by human activity, such as trash or runoff produced by factories. Pollutants damage the quality of air, water, and land. Second is deforestation. It is the purpose of clearing forested land. The loss of trees and other vegetation can cause climate change, desertification, soil erosion, fewer crops, flooding increase, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and a host of problems for indigenous people. Next is waste disposal. So poor waste management contributes to climate change and air pollution and directly affects many ecosystems and species. Landfills and considered the last resort in the waste hierarchy release methane and a very powerful greenhouse gas linked to climate change. Lastly is the overpopulation. So human population growth impacts the Earth system in a variety of ways, including increasing the extraction of resources from the environment. These resources include fossil fuels, oil, gas, and coal, minerals, trees, water, and wildlife, especially in the oceans. Once we have a thorough understanding of the environmental issues, every one of our action will come out of a place of concern for our surroundings, out of love for Mother Nature, out of the willingness to contribute towards sustainable development and make a positive change in the world. So here are the green strategies or examples. Number 1 is recycling plants. Number 2, buying reusable items. Number 3, turning off appliances. And number 4 is going paperless. So the question here is that who needs to be aware and why? So everyone has a responsibility to be more environmentally friendly, and reducing your carbon footprint can be achieved through very minor lifestyle changes. It is critical that we teach children and adults alike about the importance of environmental awareness to ensure that the lives of future generations are secure, because it isn't very fair that the severe environment consequences of our action will be experienced by innocent future generations. So I feel that environmental awareness make us realize the pressing need to take immediate action to start harming the environment and start restoring the damage that we have done to it. Hi, our next topic is about alternative energy resources. Number 1, wind energy. Wind is used to produce the electricity using the kinetic energy created by air in motion. This is transformed into electrical energy using wind turbines or wind energy conversion systems. Winds first hit the turbine's blade, causing them to rotate and turn the turbine connected to them. So it is simply a principle, because instead of using electricity to make wind like a fan, wind turbines use the wind to make electricity. Second is solar energy. Solar power is energy from the sun that is converted into thermal or electrical energy. Solar energy is the cleanest and the most abundant renewable energy source available, and the US has some of the richest solar resources in the world. So in this one, it is simply the light and the heat that comes from the sun. People can harness the sun's energy in a few different ways. Number 3 is hydroelectric energy. It is also called hydroelectric power or hydroelectricity. It is a form of energy that harnesses the power of water in motion, such as water flowing to a waterfall that generates electricity. So for this one, it is made by the movement of water. It is usually with dams that blocks a river to make a reservoir or collect water that is pumped there. Number 4, geothermal energy. It is a heat derived within the subsurface of the earth. Water or steam carry the geothermal energy to the earth's surface. Depending on its characteristic, geothermal energy can be used for heating and cooling purposes or be harnessed to generate clean electricity. Next is the nuclear energy. So it is a power. It is the use of nuclear reaction to produce electricity. Nuclear power can be obtained from nuclear fission, nuclear decay, and nuclear fusion reactions. Presently, the vast majority of electricity from nuclear power is produced by nuclear fission of uranium and plutonium in nuclear power plants. So basically, it is the energy stored inside the atom by the forces that hold together the nucleus of the atom. Lastly is about hydrogen energy. So it does not exist freely in nature, and it is only produced from other sources of energy known as an energy carrier. It is a clean burning fuel, and when combined with oxygen in a fuel cell, hydrogen produces heat and electricity with only water vapor as a byproduct.